Well, there it is, the pride of the Fox Network, WWE SmackDown on Friday nights. Is that it? Is that all we have for reviews?
Well, there was Raw last night.
Oh boy.
It's always Raw on Mondays. That's because of all the use it gets on Sundays. But nevertheless, we've still got to talk about some things. And by the way, just since I know you're picky, if you hear some background noise, another gravel truck has just pulled up and is spewing gravel out of a chute on the back of it into the driveway area of this giant 17-car garage that my neighbor started last October and is still being constructified. So
I could hear it, yeah.
Disregard the giant oncoming convoy of
Jesus Christ, now I can really hear it.
With gravel and now is driving through my fucking front wall. The hell, the whole house is shaking. This is a goddamn giant garage over here, I'll tell you that this guy's got built, but listen to this. It's coming one right after another. It looks like what was that? The
Convoy.
The Die Hard movie where they were fucking stealing everything out of the Federal Reserve. It's just truck after truck. All right, go ahead.
All right, well, before we get the truck out of here, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Now, maybe I know you, maybe I don't, but as I was watching this show, and the Mets were on with Max Scherzer on the mound, and I was getting tired because I was watching Raw, I realized I don't know if Jim's going to watch this whole thing because I don't know how anybody could.
Yeah.
So I saw some of Raw. How much of Raw did you see?
Too much. I didn't see all of it. But I skipped parts on purpose, but I did see the can we say quote unquote high points?
I don't know if we could say that.
Well, let's let the people be the judge. The people in the cult of Cornette. Let's limp them be the judge. You know, it was Randy Orton's 20th anniversary. He debuted on Raw 20 years ago at the end of April 2002, straight out of OVW. And look where he's gone from there. The same place. He's gone nowhere. He's been in the same place for 20 years. Poor fella. They did a great video for Randy Orton. Did you see that at the top of the big celebration?
I did see the top of the show, yes.
And then they had his best friend in the whole world, Riddle. NFI Riddle. Or NFM Riddle. No first name. He's surrounded by... What did they pick? Like, I saw Bobby Lashley out there, but they never really focused on him. And otherwise, it was just underneath guys that were around the ring for Randy's big celebration. But they were in Knoxville. He was born in Knoxville. Bob Orton Jr. was working Southeastern Wrestling right before the big split in 79. That's when Randy was born, when he was there.
I was going to say, what month was he born? Was it before the split or was it after the split? Because they were still in Knoxville.
Good. Well, why don't you Google
All right, hold on.
Randy Orton's birth date, and then we'll know exactly who Bob Orton Jr. was working for at that time.
Randy Orton was, according to this, he was born April 1st, 1980, so...
Aha, so it was while Orton was with the Poffos and ICW. Because he stayed in Knoxville. He was already living there, and Eastern Kentucky wasn't that far, and then... He was one of the first ones to, along with Roop, to bail out and go to Mid-South in 82, right?
That's right.
But anyway.
In 81.
In 81. Almost 82.
Almost 82.
It was the one right before 82.
It was very close.
I hate to be corrected. Anyway, Randy Orton did a really good, real promo as himself with no mental issues or conflicts in his good or bad or evil side or whatever. He was being himself, and he thanked everybody and did a nice promo. And then Riddle introduced, of course, they're inextricably linked with each other, his best friend Cody, so Cody could have the big entrance and come out and give the big hugs. I know we weren't watching a lot of WWE before Cody left in 2016, but did he and Orton have extensive interaction?
I think when Cody first came up to the main roster, Wasn't it Cody and DiBiase Jr. as a part of Orton's little group at the time?
Ah, it may have been. So they get a big moment there. And then suddenly Seth Rollins is there in a green suit. And he interrupts the whole thing and said, "Don't trust him, Randy." And Seth comes in and does what Seth does. And he's swimming and swerving and laughing and cackling and whatever. And this kind of got hard to watch at this point. And then here comes Ezekiel, a.k.a. Elias. And he jumps in the ring with a microphone. I guess they've just got an endless supply of microphones. Since nobody's in charge of this from the promotion, it's just the talent being left to do what they want. So Seth is puzzled as to who Ezekiel is. And here comes Owens, and he's freaking out because he's now being driven to distraction over Ezekiel, calling himself Ezekiel instead of Elias, because everybody knows it's Elias, but nobody will admit it's Elias, and you see where this is going. And I said, I'm about to give up on this. And then here came the Usos. And it's 16 minutes into this segment, and here come the Usos. And then here comes Adam Pearce, and he makes an 8-man tag team match for later on tonight out of this bitch fest that they've been having with each other, where it'll be Seth and Owens and the Usos against Orton and Riddle and Cody and Ezekiel Elias. He needs a new name. How can we join Elias and Ezekiel? Elekiel? Isaias? Anyway, so for the holy shit end of this moment, Owens punches Elias and Orton RKO's Owens, and everybody else either just stands around or leaves. 18 minutes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's Monday Night Raw. This is what they do. It's like Vince McMahon Playhouse more than it's professional wrestling. And it's people acting like children. I will say, to his credit, Seth Rollins' character is starting to cross over into being so stupid that I'm entertained by it now. Because now it's just preposterous. And you said there were different people at ringside. It was like 1980s WWE. It was so silly. They show over here, here's this person in character. Here's Queen Zelina waving to the people. And then there's Seth Rollins just sitting there in his fucking suit. And he has a microphone for no good reason. And then he just gets to take over the segment. He's so ridiculous. And he's so committed to it. Look at how committed he is to being this buffoon.
Oh, he needs to be committed.
It's astounding, and it's crossed over now. Now, it goes too long every time. But now there's a moment every one of his segments where I'm like, this guy's so fucking dumb. I love this. And then it goes on too long.
Well, fortunately, we were able to make up some time in the air like an airplane pilot, because the next bit of business, Bianca Belair. It's her hometown, Knoxville, Tennessee. The people are excited to see her, right? And she's going to take on Cruella DeVille. And they've been having this back and forth for the past couple of weeks, whatever. And Cruella's back in the ring now. So they start the match. They go less than a minute. They go to the floor, and Bianca throws Cruella over the announcer's desk. And she's counted out. What the fuck? But then Cruella gets mad. No. We're going to restart this. We're going to have a match with no countouts. So Bianca jumps back down, and they have an awkward fight on the floor. And then Cruella hits Bianca with a chair and gets disqualified in a minute. And then she is mad and restarts the thing with no disqualification and no count out. And here comes Zelina and Carmella, and they go to a break. And when they come back, they go, was it another 2 minutes? Maybe. With Zelina and Carmella just in the ring helping out willy-nilly at random because it's no DQ. Lazy booking. And then Bianca makes a comeback and beats her 1, 2, 3. They had 3 matches in a combined total of a little over 3 minutes, not counting the commercial break. So that was a wonderful way to showcase Bianca Belair in her hometown with the hot crowd. Didn't you think?
I only saw a little bit of this and I was out. Again, as I said before, Max Scherzer was on the mound. I was going to go watch the Met game, but I was checking out a little bit of what was happening, and I was intrigued just by it being her hometown. That was actually one of the cool things. The fact that it was the town Randy Orton was born in was her hometown. I saw they had Kane backstage. I don't know if they ever brought him out because I was
he
done with the show.
He never came out in good thing. People probably be throwing rotten eggs at him now since he's revealed his true colors.
That's right. That's really all I could say. I didn't really see too much of this. I wasn't interested. As soon as I saw Sonya Deville, whatever it was, because she's been that lame authority figure. I don't know what she's been for a while. I just wasn't interested in this at all.
She hasn't even been a lame authority figure. It's an unbelievable authority. If she had been an authority figure and then suddenly, had the problem with one person and tried to get by with jacking them around without being obvious about it, and then finally gets found out and relinquishes her powers or whatever but it was just on and on. She was actually doing both. She was being obviously biased and unfair and heelish while still week after week after week holding that position. It got a little meh. Did you see Edge and Damian Priest in the dark?
I did see this. This is ridiculous.
But you know what?
It's the House of
Edge.
Black. It's the House of Black.
But it's better because Edge can talk. I'm telling you, Edge is doing a great fucking verbal job with this. His delivery, it may not be great material, but his delivery, he knocked the current mayor of Knox County. He did a little Andy Kaufman Southern accent to mock the hillbillies. And there's plenty of hillbillies in East Tennessee because there's plenty of hills. I liked Edge's adaptation of this lame material. I'm just telling you.
What do you think happened? Legitimately, do you think he saw the House of Black and kind of wanted to do something similar? Do you think he had this idea in his head for a long time and he was getting ready to do it, and all of a sudden the House of Black shows up and he's like, God damn it, I'm going to do it anyway?
Probably the latter, because I can't see anybody seeing what the House of Black has done with the House of Black and thinking, I got to do this. So, and I mean, it's the Undertaker lighting colors. He's been in the Edge on the dark side before with the Brood. It's not a stretch. They didn't just take goddamn Shelton Benjamin and say, all of a sudden you're a fucking malevolent, occult force.
Where are these segments? I mean, when he calls Damian Priest in the morning and Damian says, hey, what's the plan for the day? He goes, meet me in the dark studio.
Yeah, meet me in the dark.
Where are they? Exactly.
Well, it's like, all the great rock bands of the 60s and 70s rented these houses, either Skinnered out in the swamp or the Stones on the French Riviera or wherever where they can go and create. So they've got a dark room somewhere, probably after hours of a photography studio. Anyway, then we had Beer Mayhem crippled another jobber. So that's good. And then MVP and Almost were in the ring for an arm wrestling match with Bobby Lashley.
I did see this too.
Okay, first of all, MVP does a great promo, but Jesus Christ, he's not Merlin Magician. And they've given him, and I still don't know whether they are just trying to steal a pay-per-view off of Almost, but no, they can't be, because if they were building him up to steal one, then right after the theft takes place, there's where you beat the guy convincingly, and he's got to look unbeatable before that. Well, they've not only beaten this guy, but now they beat him arm wrestling. So I don't think they're trying to steal something with him. I think they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. They arm wrestled. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't tension-filled. There was no miraculous comeback by Bobby Lashley. Almost had a little bit of advantage, and then they were neutral, and then Bobby just... He just beat him. He beat the giant arm wrestling. And I'm not saying that Bobby Lashley can't win an arm wrestling contest against any human. Look at him. But for the purpose of this exercise, he beat him in a match that wasn't good. But then MVP comes out, and MVP turns on Lashley and says, I made you, and now I'm going to make Almost. And so the excuse for Almost losing that match was that he didn't have a manager to guide him. So now he's got a manager to guide him, and Lashley beats him arm wrestling. Is there any type of contest or any type of matchup or any rules of anything that they can actually let Almost win something just for the sake of it?
I'm not sure what they're doing with him.
And then after Lashley wins, MVP starts come up from behind him, and Lashley turns, and here comes Almost. Did you see he didn't hit Lashley?
I did see that, yep.
He comes from behind like he's going to do the Vader smash in the corner where both of his arms are out to the side, and then they come in on the guy. But Almost, his body didn't hit Lashley, and his arms missed him, and Lashley sold it anyway. And then he ran Lashley into the table 3 or 4 times. And if you go back and watch the tape, when Almost lays his hands on Lashley, it's like he's trying to figure out how to pick up a turd by the clean end. He's so green, he can't even figure out a way to grab his opponent or run him into something or whatever. And then he hit him with the table over and over, but not in a convincing fashion, and blah. Closing thoughts.
No, you summed it up.
Okay. So R-Truth is now, last week he was certified to perform marriage ceremonies. Now he's a certified couples counselor or something. And he was giving the 2 couples from last week's wedding bullshit some advice, who were Reggie and Dana and Tamina and Tozawa. And when I wrote that down, I said, where in the world are Solo, Commorato, and Agogo? They all 3 disappeared, didn't they?
No, Cody made them stars.
That's why they're in the sky now instead of in the ring. If anybody has a milk carton that needs a picture, can we find Solo, Commorato, or Agogo? So then after this counseling segment, they had a tag team match, playa, with Dana and Reggie against Tamina and Tozawa, and R-Truth was the referee. And the only thing that I got from this was that Reggie was dressed like a parking lot attendant for the Blue Man Group. And that was that. Did you see any of that?
No, I missed all of that.
Good, good, good. So Becky Lynch came to the ring for a promo, and she's on the verge of tears and a nervous breakdown. And she's missing her championship and her belt. And here's another talent that has proven that they can talk and has proven that they can have good matches and that people care about them. And she was given this scripted, dramatic performance that she has hit rock bottom, and she was raving. But then she realized, wait, if I've hit rock bottom, I've got nowhere to go but up. And she's raving about her comeback. And just as I wrote, what the fuck is happening here? She's, instead of a pro wrestler, she's playing fucking the Betty Davis part and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. When suddenly music hits, and here comes Oscar. Oscar's back.
Asuka.
That's what I said.
No, you said Oscar. It's Asuka.
Well, she's back.
Yeah.
And what it has to do with this goddamn situation we're currently involved in, I have no idea. But she interdances like Seth Rollins, only even more over the top. She's tricked out in the whole kabuki outfit with the kabuki mask, the robe. She does the dancing and hopping, and then the ridiculously racist Vito Scotti Gilligan's Island Japanese soldier voice. All you 60s sitcom fans and Sherwood Schwartz's immediate family will just die laughing over that. And she made some constipation faces, and Becky ran off away from her. Are you seriously meaning to tell me that on one channel we have Japanese wrestlers, male and female, either exposed for the fact that they have come from Japanese outlaw mud shows, or they are in such horrible physical condition because of the stupid things that they do to their own bodies that they have to be handled like that they're, as I said before in the program, Fabergé eggs? Or on the other channel, everybody, male and female of Japanese descent, has to be a ridiculous 60s sitcom version of Japanese people doing silliness and speaking in weird voices. I'm surprised they don't figure out a way, since birds fly to Riddle's ass. Every time Asuka does a promo, the words and her lips ought to be 5 seconds off. But I'm the one that's racist because I don't like bad Japanese wrestlers.
She's not a bad wrestler. She's a good wrestler.
She's a good wrestler acting like...
I agree with you.
Can you imagine
I agree with you about the way they're using her. I agree with you about the way they're using her.
Black, I don't care as how great a wrestler she is. She's a great wrestler. It was black and was acting in any type of those stereotypical ways that she is being portrayed as on this television for her Japanese heritage. Would this program be on the air next week?
No, people would be calling Vince McMahon a racist.
Well, exactly. So, once again, who's the racists around here? The people that long for the days when Japanese wrestlers were the best in the world? Or the people that present them like fucking lunatics? Anyway, did I mention Becky ran off? Did you see any of that?
No, I actually missed that. I wish I would have seen it. I like Asuka.
Yeah.
She's great. She's good. She
didn't wrestle here.
She didn't. She's good.
No. Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. So apparently now Balor is on the shit list because Theory's beat him like a redheaded stepchild. Now it's Damian's turn. Again, this was... Nobody really cares. The WWE fans know the matches are just short breaks in between the dramatic readings. They started this match, they went 1 minute, and they went to a commercial break. How come they never go to commercial breaks during the interviews when we're all dying for a chance to piss? So they come back, and he gets... I think there was 15 seconds of heat on Finn Balor's scene, and then almost immediately Balor makes a comeback. They go back and forth. Priest hits a choke slam, and I think Balor was going to come off the top, and Edge was standing in the building, so that distracted him or whatever. And then he goes off, but Priest grabs him, choke slams him, pulls him up, and then gives him his finish. 1, 2, 3. So he foils the babyface's forward momentum, hits him with a choke slam, and instead of going for a quick win there like you stole something, or any other kind of finish where you just don't beat a babyface flat, he hits him with a move, and while he's selling the move, he picks him up again and gives him a move. Now you've beat him like a job guy. Flat as a plate full of piss. But at least Damian Priest went over. Did you see that?
No, I was done with Raw by now.
Okay, well, good. Then I will be here in a moment. There's
Please.
Not much left. Miz TV with Theory, where Miz asked, is he the Theory? And Theory said, no, Vince and I have decided it's just Theory. And then they did some cute banter between the heels that the crowd whatted to death. And Theory has personality if he ever escapes the scripted material and cheesy WWE-style presentation. But this was really bad until Mustafa Ali entered. And then it got worse. I'm telling they're sitting there in the ring and suddenly music, and here comes Mustafa Ali, and they are trying to portray this as a big deal. Like, you're here? We thought you were gone. You're back. Where the fuck did he go? Did anybody care about him before he left? I can't even remember.
We weren't watching much when he was there, kind of like what I wish the situation was now.
Yeah, how long's it been then?
But it's been a while. If you remember, he went on social media. He was a part of that retribution angle. And then he went on social media and asked for his release, and they said no. And now he's back.
But then they eventually said yes. Or did they just say, no, we're not going to release you, and he's been sitting around for 2 years?
He's been sitting around, not 2 years, I think maybe 6 months, 7 months, but that's what they were alluding to with some of those comments in this, I would assume.
Okay, why the fuck wouldn't they just let this guy go? Have you seen him? He's not as big as The Miz. He's fucking 3 inches shorter than The Miz, and he looks like he's fucking 22. Like every one of these kids. And he sounds like it. And he didn't come in there setting the world on fire. He didn't look particularly fucking menacing. He can speak well. It's just nothing about this got anybody interested in any of the people on this show. It didn't do anything for Miz, didn't do anything for Theory, didn't do anything for Mustafa Ali wants a title shot against Theory. And Theory said no, and I was like, hurrah! Thank God we don't have to watch that. And this went on forever, and then finally Theory texted Vince and got Miz a match with Mustafa Ali. Next. And that's what they had. Miz versus Mustafa Ali. I wouldn't have watched this if he was wrestling Muhammad Ali by this point, right? But they went a little while, and Ali beat him with a roll-up out of a figure four. So apparently now they're going to push him, and poor Miz is the fall guy. And then Ali wins and goes to the entranceway for his beauty shot like every big babyface winner of a match does, and Ciampa comes from behind and just fucking knocks him out with one shot from behind and stands over him. So Mustafa Ali was back and over for 6 minutes. And now he's down at Ciampa's feet. And Ciampa, by the way, is now just Ciampa, no Tommaso. I guess that's probably because Vince couldn't remember whether it was 2 M's and 1 S or 1 M and 2 S's.
It's because Vince couldn't own it.
Okay.
Was that it? Was that the end of the show, hopefully?
No.
Why are you watching this show?
Real quickly, because it was getting worse, and I just had to make mention of it. Rhea Ripley came up next, though. I'm watching Rhea Ripley. I just paused it, turned the sound off, and the show got better. And she tried to do a promo about turning on Liv Morgan, and she had started a good one about her partners being the one that made her look weak. And now she's done with that. What we've wanted, she was not allowed. This is a backstage pre-tape with the girl interviewer. She wasn't allowed to look at the camera because of their weird, bizarre mandate that even though there's nobody else around and there's a TV camera in your face, you're not supposed to look at it. So since that is the rule there, she looked awkward trying to stare up over the camera in front of her and look off like she was in a trance and still say this stuff. So if she was looking directly into the camera, eye to eye with the viewers, and meant what she said, they would feel it. But instead, you know what Vince said 25 years ago? He said, it makes it look fake when they're looking at the camera. Let that sink in for a second. Vince McMahon, the person who's in charge of this program, actually thought that looking in the camera when it was in front of you made it look fake.
Why do you think he thought that?
I don't know. I have no idea, because he could never explain it. Like the thing with Belt, or the thing with hospital, medical facility, or all these other things. Somehow, it's like when Shitstain used to pitch him, we need to do reality television, and then everything that he did bore no resemblance to any Earth's reality. When I first went up there, I pitched Vince, you know what reality TV looks like right now? Cops, filmed on location, with one camera as real shit's actually really happening. That's what reality TV show is in relation to what wrestling should be shot as, not reality TV show like Jerry Springer or goddamn Hogan Knows Best. There's nothing real about that reality television. That's what he was going for because of shit stain. Anyway, so Rhea Ripley is doing the promo. It would be good if she was looking at the camera, but before she really gets much out, Liv Morgan jumps her, and we've got another girls pull apart in the backstage area on another fucking wrestling program. So that started promising and ended like shit. But we got a main event to go, Brian. And that main event.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
The big 8-man.
Big.
It was signed earlier.
Yeah.
Cody got the first entrance. 30 minutes left on the program. Cody is making his entrance for the main event. And I'm thinking, okay, after all this other shit, maybe they're at least going to give us some wrestling tonight. After they went to a commercial break, came back, showed some VTRs, did an announcer billboard, and the rest of the entrances. Everybody got in the ring. By the way, Riddle had rabbits fly out of his ass for Easter instead of birds. I'm not shitting you.
I was about to say, what? Are you joking?
No, I'm not. It would be funnier if I was joking. It was rabbits came out of his ass for Easter. And they were all different kinds of colors, too. So everybody got in the ring. Now they've got 20 minutes left. Guess what they did?
I don't know. What?
They went to another break.
Oh, God.
So the entrances for this match started with 30 minutes left on the air. And by the time that they came back from the break and started the match, there was a little over half of that left on the air. And they started doing some shit, and I got distracted, and I forgot to watch it. And finally, since it's Randy Orton's 20th anniversary and the celebration was about him, he made a bench clear and comeback, fucking gave everybody a suplex on the fucking desk, RKO'd everybody else, and beat one of the fucking Usos. And then they had replays and the babyfaces celebrating in the ring for the last 2 minutes because they didn't use all their time. So it was certainly not a riotous Mid-South wrestling close with chaos reigning, the announcer screaming, the bell ringing, and the fans on the verge of climbing the rail and getting involved. But at least it was over. And they did the right thing for Orton by making him the center of attention. And somebody just tweeted, as a matter of AEW Botches tweeted, a clip of the way that AEW treated Jericho's 30th anniversary on their TV versus Orton's 20th anniversary. Orton gave every move that he knew to 4 guys, beat everybody, and looked like a superstar. And Jericho wrestled Dr. Luther, and they fell on each other for 15 minutes. Gassed out. So it was quite a difference in celebration. That was Raw there, fella.
It certainly was, and maybe some of the listeners, Jim, are feeling the way I am right now. Wow, this was way more reviews than we needed. This is ridiculous. What's Cornette trying to do to us? Maybe they're thinking of possible litigation.
You don't think they're going to start a class action suit against us for telling them too many details about WWE programming, do you?
Well, with you, it could be a no-class suit.
Well, that's right. Well, folks, I'll tell you, if you feel the need to file a no-class lawsuit against us, I know exactly who you can call. A man, a myth, a legend who is responsible for, well, let me just ask you this. Brian Last, what are the most oft repeated words in conjunction with our favorite attorney? What are they? I'll tell you what they are. Judgment for the plaintiff. Who is that I'm talking about, you say? Who?
I hit it too early. Sorry, Jim. Let's try it again. This man.
Who? Who?
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Goes to their ass.
Yes, and he won't jump the gun either, like some people do. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, what are the statistics, Jim Cornette? Can you prove that Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084, can you prove what you say about this man? Well, let me just direct you to the aforementioned website. Let me just direct you to the details. Where do you know, Brian? You may not even been aware of this. Since 1998, when Stephen P. New, after he was born in a small log cabin on the outskirts of Beckley, West Virginia, had grown up and educated himself and gone into the legal profession. Since then, this office, this man, this myth, this legend, this crusader for right and justice, his office has won over $42,300,000 in personal injury and wrongful death case settlements in the aforementioned 24 years. And at the same time, concurrently even, $33,700,000 won in judgments in employment and wrongful termination and or product liability cases. That is a total 76 million bucks just in those cases that have gone to the innocent victims of this horrible misrepresentation and et cetera that they've been victims to, thanks to Stephen P. New and newlawoffice.com. And did you know, by the way, Brian, did you know that they have many areas of practice? Personal injury, sexual assault, wrongful death, sometimes even a rightful death. Even if the guy deserved it, you can still get a judgment. Employment, wrongful termination, workplace injury. And I'll tell you what, the employment cases, now wrongful termination is one thing, but when he can get you paid just because somebody was stupid enough to give you a job, that's a great lawyer. And by the way, folks, around the West Virginia area, and they're neighborhood attorneys. Even though West Virginia is a big place, they're neighborhood attorneys. They like to help the people. That's why they're philanthropic for their fellow West Virginians with scholarships and humanitarian projects and causes, local charities feeding the poor, bike helmets for children, all of this and more. They sponsor local sports, the arts. It's an amazing bunch of people there at New Law Office. You got to be a part of it. If you have any problems or issues, 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com. Stephen P. I mean, they're going to really anoint him, Brian, soon. Is West Virginia, are they allowed to crown saints? I know they do that. They do that over at the Vatican, but can we do it over here? Can we make I'm thinking Saint Stephen the First.
Saint Stephen, that's a Grateful Dead song.
Yeah, well, there you go. And he can play that when he comes out.
Really? That's a great idea. I like this. I'm liking this more and more. Where he comes out where? In court?
Well, yeah.
They can play a theme song in court.
The judge brings the gavel in. Court's now in session, and then they play the entrance music for the attorneys. That he could use St. Stephen for his entrance music if the state of West Virginia is allowed to go ahead and nominate and or crown or coronate, or what would that process be where you make someone a saint? The coronation of St. Stephen.
I guess so.
Newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084.
Coronate a king and a queen. I don't know if they coronate a saint.
Well, you crown a king in checkers. You coronate a king and...
All right. Well, if you're going to bring checkers into this, I wasn't
My
prepared
mother
for
used
that.
to crown me every now and then if I got out of hand.
Did she use a weapon or she use her limp hand like Eddie Kingston?
Well, no, I wish she'd used her limp hand like Eddie Kingston. She used to use a fly swatter sometimes. That wasn't fucking fun. I'll tell you what.
All right. Well, let's get away from Mommy Dearest and let's get to some questions here.
No wire hangers.
No wire hangers, thankfully.